Today, we're going to be talking about flexibility and how it's a recipe for longevity. I'm Brian,
I'm Tyler.
and this is our presentation. For population, we're going to be focused on is the high school athletes, and the targeted behavior is warm-up routines and its influence on flexibility. We know that warm-up routines can be done individually, or it can be done as a team practice. We know barriers are some people don't have the time, they may lack the self-knowledge, or they may have never been shown by coaches.
Our approach is to use the theory of planned behavior, which targets one's intentions to directly influence their behavior through different aspects of their life. This can be broken down into three categories, which can be broken down into three subcategories. We plan to provide examples upcoming. So to do this, you have to reflect on your environment and the influences around it. We have three different levels at which this can be achieved through attitude, which is an individual's mindset. Next, the subjective norms, which can be seen in a team setting, such as coaches' expectations and the players around you. Lastly, is perceived behavior control, the skill ability, and how well you can perform the movement. All these play a factor in how we want to make change, so we'll provide examples upcoming.
The theory we wanted to talk about is attitudes and behavioral beliefs. Attitudes can be positively and negatively influenced by your tripart consisting of your family, significant others, and social media. Example of this is one can be worried about what people think about them stretching, whether they undervalue or overvalue the behavior. Behavioral beliefs affects one's intentions of performing a behavior. It's put into two categories. Effective consequence is will you enjoy the behavior? And instrumental consequence is will you get benefits? The next one we have up is subjective norms, how it's tied into normative beliefs. Subjective norms is how one perceives social pressure to perform the behavior. And an example could be feeling motivated to warm up because your team is doing it. And the opposite would feeling unmotivated because your team didn't want to warm up. And normative beliefs is a perception on how others feel about a behavior. And this is categorized by two things. First one is descriptive norms, which is whether the others engage in proper warm-ups and cool-downs. The other is subjective norms, and this is asking yourself if they value warming up or cooling down.
Is perceived behavior control. These are influences such as barriers on a personal or environmental scale. A high degree of this can actually cause impediment, causing termination of just warming up. Some control beliefs are barriers and facilitators that influence our behavior. This can be coaches watching us. We may not properly do the warm ups. And some other things on a personal level is maybe not having enough time to warm up and stretch. Just to our first Instagram post, invest to see your best. We want athletes to focus on taking accountability. This happens through reflecting on past experiences and kind of preparing in advance. The athlete's responsibility is to maximize performance, and in doing so, they have to ask questions such as who, what, when, why, and how, reflecting on their environment and the people around them to ultimately build a plan to progress with flexibility over time.
The post we have here is professional athletes showing importance of flexibility, and it's captioned athletes who found the recipe to long-term high-level performance. The first example we have here is LeBron James. He's a 40-year-old basketball player who started out in 2003 and is still currently playing. He emphasizes that flexibility is important for long-term athletic performance and injury prevention. He uses yoga, massages, and targeted exercises to maintain flexibility and physical health and believes flexibility helps with balance, mobility, and injury recovery. Simone Biles, she's a 28-year-old American gymnast who started in 2011 and she's still currently in her sport. And she emphasized the need for consistent stretching and body awareness, that it's important to stretch before and after.
So the body's response to stretching and warming up is dependent on the time, amount, and intensity. Through research, we've seen that athletes who make the time and prioritize stretching see the benefits more. Through the Journal of Sports Science and Medicine, it says that people with high intensity of just 5 minutes had a greater range of motion and decreased stiffness. This is ultimately relating to our intent to do an exercise so we can maximize its benefits. Through warming up and stretching, we're increasing our thermogenic effect, which is just increasing circulation in our heart rate and ability to perform. This leads us to possible risks, and this is injury in sport, and this is due to lack of mobility, which ultimately decreases our performance. Through research, static stretching or none at all leads to decreased performance due to muscle groups not activating appropriately. These are misfiring mechanisms. Our muscle spindles and Golgi tendons, our safety nets, are overcompensating, which ultimately leads to our proprioception being thrown off. Our limbs in space don't really know how to respond, and we don't have as much control as we should.
Ties this into athlete awareness. What we do now affects us later. This ties into our daily habits. If we perform stretching now, it can help later on with our activities of daily living. As far as now, it'll help you with the performance aspect of sports, as far as nimbleness and explosion, and it'll also help you with overall health. Research and practice routines show that it's not a one size fits all mechanism and that everyone is off in their own category when it comes to stretching. Here on this slide for a little more education on flexibility. To the right of the screen, we have a little article that says the importance of stretching before and after exercise. And it says like kind of do's and don'ts. Some things to note about flexibility is it reduces risk of acute injury by 35%. Uh, Warm-ups can be static or dynamic and it can still be beneficial. And flexibility is better the younger you are, so it's better start earlier than later, but it's still better now than never. On to education. To the right here, we have guidelines of warm-ups and cooldowns, and they just kind of stress the importances of how to perform the behavior so it can help people on how it can be implemented and shows that the behavior can be performed before and after exercises and that it's also adjusted based on skill level or training status.
Moving on, we have another Instagram post, stress on the stretching. These are just recommendations to maintain flexibility for athletes in season. The best ability is availability. So this is just for athletes trying to maintain flexibility over long bouts of time, especially seasons. Increase range of motions through proper routines, just seeing what works best for you, and leads us to the definition of dose response. A little is better than none, more is better than less up to a point. So for athletes off seasons, they have more time so they can build this tolerance to stress and really adapt to it. They can actually take the time to recover and let their body um, have its natural processes. And we have to ultimately learn new movements so we can see what works best for us. Leads us to talking about long-term health. With increased flexibility, we are more injury resistant and have better daily range of motion. If we do happen to experience some kind of injury, the recovery time is reduced just because our muscles are a little more elastic. This Instagram post emphasizes that if we unlock full flexibility, we're actually able to prevent injury. So this is athletes just kind of emphasizing bend, don't break, because their environment is constantly changing, and the best thing they can do is prepare and build tolerance.
Here is a little more examples of how to perform the warm-ups correctly. It's as easy as 5 to 20 minutes before or after a workout and can be broken into different body sections. It starts with your influences that guide your intention. Perform the behavior that lead to long-term flexibility. Thank you for listening to our presentation.